Do you think cracking your back or your neck is helping you? Well, it might actually be making things worse. Let's find out why. Welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Anjali, founder of Back in Balance. I'm a non-cracking, non-popping chiropractor and integrative functional nutrition specialist. I love helping families and workplaces optimize their health by moving well, eating well, and living well. And I'm especially passionate about empowering families as they navigate the 5 trimesters from preconception to postpartum and beyond by taking a 360 approach to nervous system regulation. So let's talk about one of the biggest questions about, is it okay to crack my neck or my back? The short answer for all of you who want the info right up front, no, it's not good for you. And here's why. So when we get the feeling that we want to crack our neck or our back, it typically is something, and you can pay attention to this when this happens to you. It's typically something that you get relief from for less than 24 hours. And what happens every time we crack our neck or back is that even as a chiropractor, I can't crack my own neck or back because I can't get to the spot that actually needs to be adjusted. And there's a difference between cracking and adjusting. We'll talk about that in just a minute. When we feel like, oh, I can't even do it because I don't even know how. But if when you see people like cracking their necks or like twisting their spine to get a release in their back, and we'll talk about it a little bit of what that means if you're just stretching and you hear release, we'll talk about that. But when you are trying to get a release, right, it's like it feels stuck and you're like, oh, okay, you get that momentary endorphin release, you feel good. Chances are that you're needing to do that multiple times a day or at least daily in order to get that relief. What that means is this is just part of a spine, right? This is not the full spine. There's the full spine right there. But what happens is that the area that actually needs to get adjusted or where you need the release is not getting that release. And so what's happening is the segment right above or right below is actually what is getting that movement. What happens over time, right? So if you do this once every blue moon, probably not going to make that big of a difference. But since most people tend to do this on a fairly consistent basis, what happens is that over time, the body feels like, well, this segment keeps moving. I must need to stabilize it because it's not supposed to move so much. And so over time, the body perceives this as hypermobility and basically starts to create extra, typically bone growth, to create stability for that vertebrae. And it could present as something like arthritis down the road. And because we have made it, if you've seen my other videos, I say just because it's common doesn't mean that it's normal. So just because we are advancing in our age doesn't mean that it is normal to develop symptoms of arthritis. But that is typically what happens if we have a history of cracking our necks or backs because our body has created extra stability for that hypermobile joint. On the flip side, the area that needed to move but didn't move or get that release becomes hypomobile because it didn't move. So the body again then feels like, oh, I must not need to move this joint very much. And so then again creates extra stability and support, again creating something like bone growth. So now we have two segments that have extra bone growth because it became hypermobile and hypomobile, all because we didn't get the correct spot to get released. So I say released or adjustment would be another word for it. So let's talk about the difference between seeing a chiropractor and cracking your own neck or back. So when chiropractors are working on you, you may hear an audible release, right? When I was in chiropractic school, I used to consider myself an audible junkie because I thought that if I didn't hear the release of the adjustment, that it didn't happen as effectively as I wanted to. I personally have since, for many years, almost the whole time I've been in practice, have been delivering more of low force adjustments. There's another video where I talk about why low force adjusting. But regardless of what type of chiropractor you see, they are adjusting your spine, not cracking your spine, even if you hear the sound. And the sound is just the gas being released between the joints. So it's not the same thing of like, it's definitely not cracking your bones or things like that. But the chiropractor is really, that's what we go to school for, is to understand how to identify what needs to be adjusted and what doesn't need to be adjusted so that we don't make a hypermobile segment more hypermobile and that we actually help support the body where it needs that. Then we also get questions about people who come in and they'll say, like, I was just stretching, or many times when I do the stretch, I will kind of inadvertently hear this cracking sound. And is that the same thing as cracking my back? And that's not. So when you're not trying to get a release, or sometimes when people get so used to cracking their back, even just a very slight nudge in that direction will create that release. But if you're not trying to get a release and you're truly just stretching the muscle, you could hear that auditory cracking sound, because that again is that gas release between the segments of your vertebrae. But you know for yourself like what your intention is, right? If you're truly just trying to stretch a muscle, or if you are actually trying to get something to release for that short-term endorphin release. But if you have questions, I would highly, highly encourage you to seek out a chiropractor. If you are in the Bay Area, I would be more than happy to speak with you about what might be happening for you and how we can support you to actually move away from that temporary endorphin release and actually get you more towards corrective care and wellness care, so that you can actually enjoy range of motion, freedom of movement, and ease of movement without having that restriction in your spine. If you'd like to schedule a call to chat about your needs, the link is below. I hope this helps. And if I can help provide you with contacts for a chiropractor in your area, if you're not in the Bay Area, you can please reach out to me as well. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week.